And as usual, we bring you conversations in the game development, esports, animation, Comic-Con, and associated businesses. So we're happy to speak to everyone involved in esports, game development, animation, Comic-Con, summits in Africa. Reach out to us on emails, socials, and let us support what you do and help you get more visibility across Africa. If you're in the diaspora, you want to connect to esports organizations, game devs, animation studios across Africa, reach out to us. Usual channel, social media, info@esportsafricanews.com, and we will do our best to support you in everything that you want to get out from the connection. But today we're talking about South Africa, one of my favorite countries I've not been to yet, and I'm hoping one of these days I'll find myself in South Africa. Pretoria, Cape Town, Joburg, yeah, that's South Africa. I'm going to be there one day very soon. So we're going to talk about esports in South Africa. So Mark, do us the honors, introduce yourself, don't hold back on anything, and then we'll take you from there.
Sure. Now that's an invitation of note. Don't hold back on anything. Wow.
Yeah.
Where do I? Okay, we'll keep it clean and we'll just keep it with esports, right?
Yeah.
Thanks so much for the introduction. Thanks so much for the opportunity. Gabriel, my name is Mark Joubert. I am the founder of Ruckus Media, who is the official NASEF affiliate here in South Africa. And for those that don't know NASEF, NASEF is the network of academic and scholastic esports federations. And essentially what we do on a sort of global level is we use video games, and in particular esports, as a tool to develop skills and also to showcase potential career technical education, career pathways that are coming out of this continuously evolving entity, which is called esports. And I suppose, as we all understand, esports is the pinnacle of it, but it all stems out of the video game industry. So that's essentially what NASEF does. But from a South African point of view, we do it slightly differently, because whereas many other countries, and let's call a spade, many countries outside of Africa, they seem to have established and far more sustainable esports ecosystems, particularly stemming, if we consider the pipeline that starts at scholastic level, right the way through to university, college level, and then on into more professional, career-orientated processes and initiatives. Africa is still very much behind, actually officially stating that they have a sustainable ecosystem, esports ecosystem in place. What I see when I look around Africa is everyone scrambling for the next dollar, and not really about developing and building the sustainable ecosystem. We all want to be part of an ecosystem, but no one wants to be part of the sustainable side of things, and that's what we are trying to achieve here in South Africa.
That's an interesting take, and like I said, don't hold back on anything. And I see South Africa, and I've always seen South Africa as one of the icons in Africa esports, because when we talk about everything in game, South Africa holds a lot of either the organizations that develop them, of the offices for organizations that develop them, the servers, the technical organizations as well. But we're not seeing a lot of South Africans who have moved or taken the initiative to be champions in the area. So we're going to look inward and see what is going wrong, or what are we missing in this journey from, midlife, not midlife, young life, from the 10 years to, college level to university. Because there are other organizations. I mean, as a media organization, we've seen and heard about other organizations doing stuff in South Africa, but how come we're not seeing a lot more success stories being written about South Africans in game development, esports, animation, Comic-Con, whatever, all connected together?
That's a very, very, very broad question, and I can only sort of give you my views and my opinion based on my experience. I'm not a game developer, but I have interacted, and I do interact quite regularly with a few from the game development industry. And anyone that has followed me on LinkedIn and in some of our platforms will know that I regularly attend a lot of these events. In terms of the greater ecosystem, Gabriel, what you ask there is complex, because I know Africa's on a massive drive at the moment to showcase itself in the game development space. I know Africa's on a big drive to tell African stories. And I think the jury's out on whether the world actually wants to see and wants to actually understand the African story. I'm aware of many game development houses across the continent that are now many years into developing their first African story game, and yet we're still no closer to seeing finished product. Sure, that already tells you there's already a story in that, is there not? I think part of that story is the fact that funding, access to resources, and here I'm talking more from a South African point of view in terms of answering your question around seeing more South Africans on the bigger stage under the big bright lights. And we've got a lot of talent. A lot of the townships, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of youngsters that have the talent, particularly in games that resonate. And here I'm talking about EAFC, FIFA, bit of Rocket League, and a lot of the fighting game titles. But they don't
fighting games
to showcase this on the bigger stage because, one, they don't have access to the resources. And when I talk about resources, number one, we talk about data. It's kind of bizarre that many of the big network companies here in South Africa offer the same data that are offered in other African countries, far more expensive in South Africa. Make that sense? How does that make sense? The other thing is access to the tools. If you look at the most commonly thrown around stat relevant to Africa is mobile first. You told me not to hold back. Here's my first thing I'm not holding back. That's bullshit. Forgive the French, but that's absolute bullshit, because it's not mobile first. For the most part, it's mobile only. And I say mobile only because in all of these environments where people are talking about mobile first, most of those gamers don't have access to consoles. They don't have access to PCs. Now, if I don't have access to something, it's not that my first choice is mobile.
That's my only choice.
Is mobile. So please, as Africans, get off the bandwagon of talking mobile first, because we're not mobile first. We're mobile only. And I can prove it. I can share with you, and I'll send it to you after this, data that we're collecting as NASEF South Africa, stemming directly out of our scholastic programs where we develop esports clubs in schools. We develop curricula that helps them to use and understand using video games, using esports to improve their skills. We are seeing it's almost a 30-30 split. And I'm not talking private schools, I'm talking government schools. These are bog standard government schools and community-based organizations where the feedback from the individuals that we're interacting with shows an almost equal split between console, PC, and mobile. So I stand by, and it's not an opinion, this is my personal fact that we are collecting on a daily basis. Africa is mobile.
I think you're right. I think you're right, because I've said this on a lot of platforms. Apart from the fact that the device is the issue, one of the areas I've seen the mobile games gaining traction is the access, legitimate access they give to Africans. PUBG Mobile, Free Fire, Mobile Legends, Bang Bang, Call of Duty Mobile. They give Africans legitimate access to it's not about a European server, American server, Asian server, directly registered Africans, and that alone is always a catch for, an attraction to Africans, and that is it. I think I'll go with your mobile only terminology, because absolutely can see that, for gamers to buy consoles for equivalent of £500, $500, whereas a mobile phone, one third of the price, can give them the same, experience, if not better, because I can see a lot of mobile tournaments happening. But let's talk more about NASEF's activities in South Africa and how you are wanting the next generation to benefit from your activities.
Okay, so a lot of the work we do is in underserved communities, in government schools, what used to be termed in South Africa the old Model C schools. We've got a couple of private school esports clubs, but for the most part, most of them are government school based, predominantly in high schools, because the concept that NASEF uses is in their club structure is to have the kids literally represent every aspect within that club, hold all of the various roles within that club. It's not run by adults, it's not run by teachers, it's run by the kids, for the kids, for the future of the kids. So yes, we do have adults or teachers that oversee the programs in a general manager role, but for the most part, the opportunity to work in those roles gives these kids the opportunity to experience what it's like to be a treasurer and work with money, to be a secretary and be responsible for the administrative side of your club, and then obviously in the more senior roles of vice president and president, managing people, managing all of the operations. And these are all critical skills that we see it, we know it, are not taught in schools. And here I'm talking about South Africa. And Gabriel, from my interactions with guys like Beast, Queen Arrow, a couple of the guys out of the Indian Ocean communities, the stuff's not happening in Africa either, African schools, across the board. No one's getting these kinds of opportunities. So the reality is what we believe that we're doing is almost groundbreaking in that it's giving these kids the idea to see what it could be like, obviously at a microcosm level, but they're at least getting a sense, as opposed to where in the past they had no idea and just had to figure it out for themselves. And it's through utilizing the NASEF created work that they've created over the last almost 10 years, plus the experience, my personal experience, our team's experience, and I do a lot of work with many of the guys in the actual professional gaming community, guys like Art Department, obviously, as I've mentioned before, Brian Diagapi, etc., around the continent, just a couple of the names. But the idea is that if we can understand that the learnings, and this is not my view, this is researched, this is documented, there are thousands of academic articles and papers written about this. If we understand that video games, by their nature, are teaching kids skills, and by extension teaching us and maintaining our skills, then why are we not harnessing the learnings out of those? And why are we pushing back and hiding this concept of less screen time, as we've seen in your country now? And
I was going to mention that.
Social media and all that kind of nonsense. If you put scaffolding around it, if you do it with a specific purpose in mind, there is, like I've mentioned just now, hundreds, if not thousands, of academic articles talking about the benefits of video games on so many different levels. Why are we not running towards that as opposed to pushing back from that? And that's our philosophy. So we're using video games to help with mathematics, with science, with English literacy, with financial literacy, with digital literacy. That is our drive.
That's very intentional. That's very intentional. And just to bring in the UK ban on social media, which is coming in next spring, I think the context is slightly different, though gaming has been included in it. And I've seen an article by the British Esports, writing about it. But, for NASEF, right, in South Africa, do you go to the schools, or do the schools come to you, or how do we get a network of NASEF institutions working?
At the moment, we very much go out to the schools because, unfortunately, it comes down to the issue I raised of a sustainable esports ecosystem. Most of the schools have jumped onto the bandwagon of just offering competitive esports. So you've got a young Gabriel who's in school, might not have access to all the various technology, and at this point in time is not a good Rocket League player. Maybe he's never even been introduced to Rocket League because via his mobile phone he's only really played EAFC or Call of Duty Mobile, anything that he can get on his mobile phone. So now he gets into that school environment, and he's not selected for the team because obviously he's not good enough, and will never be selected for the team because for the most part, most of the school programs are you're either good and can get on the team, or if you're not, we're not interested in you. There's no skills development programs. There's no unpacking of it. And what I've been able to gather from my conversations around and with others around the African continent, it's literally a copy and paste throughout Africa. That exact same model is being adopted across the continent, and then we wonder why 10 years from now we'll be having the same conversation, say, whoa, where is the development? Because it's not intentional. So yes, answer your question, we go to the schools. Over the last almost 4 years, we've been knocking on school doors, and we're now getting to the point where I'm actually getting emails, I'm actually getting calls from schools to say, can you help us? So the tide is turning. Schools now understand that it is bigger than just more screen time, and that there are bigger opportunities for the kids coming out of this beautiful thing called the video game industry.
Right. So we've got the opportunity to speak to schools, to community directors in education, and maybe the minister, or what is the pitch you can say now, looking at your camera and say now to them, say why they need to get their schools connected to NASEF, and why it's important for them to be part of this journey.
Probably in the fewest words possible: digital skills development, global village enablement, and future career pathway exposure.
What do you know? What that is the most direct message I've had, and that is as direct as it can be, because these are the real deals. This is what, if a young person in year 5, year 10, year 12 has been guided through their life to try and get them to, understand where esports will take them. That's exactly what you've mentioned. And also, if from the other side, the leaders were supposed to see the direction the kids need to go, and if they understand, because half the time some of the leaders don't understand what we're trying to deliver, but if they can understand and appreciate what you're delivering, that is the right way to deliver it.
100%. But I think everyone is always going to come up against one major obstacle. And that major obstacle is the old school thinking that it is yet again more screen time. And my experience, my go-to response to anyone that talks about, whether it's a parent or a teacher that says, but I don't want my kid to get more screen time, my number one go-to is, well, who gave them the screen in the first place? Because they seem to forget they were the creator of the monster, and now they're transferring that monsterness to an industry that didn't go out and hook their kid. It was the parent that put that tablet. It was the parent that put that mobile phone. Or it was the parent that said, go play your video games, mommy and daddy are talking. And now it's our fault. Get out of town. Not right.
there's context in that, and obviously we'll be able to catch up again. But I really appreciate your time. I know you've been trying to juggle your time to be with us, and you've managed to do it in beautiful South Africa in the garden, jealous of the blue sky above you. But we've had good weather this weekend, so I'll take it each time it comes in. Yeah, but it's been great to speak to you on this platform. We do engage on other WhatsApp groups, and it's always nice to have a different perspective about what's happening in another country, learn and develop outside of the industry as well. So thank you so much, Mark, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Gabriel, and you too.
Take care.